So chapter 2 just dropped and it is insane. The chapter starts off with a scene that heavily reminds me of Breaking Bad, with the whole idea that, cops can't lie when you ask them if they're cops and such. Now, a key detail was revealed about Jodio's stand. As you can see, not all the rain droplets penetrate the surface. The only things that were damaged by the rain droplets were the drugs and the 2 police officers. This means that Jodio can control which rain droplets cause harm and which rain droplets just act like normal rain. We can also theorize where Jodio gets the water from. Is the rain itself part of the stand? Or does November rain maybe suck in the moisture from the air and turns it into rain? What do you think? The protagonists of part 7 and 8, Johnny and Josuke, were able to use spin. Here's a big theory right off the bat. The droplets are spinning, but not all of them. It all ties down to Jodio being able to make them either penetrate objects or not. We need to break down water on an atomic level. We know that each water molecule consists of H2O, basically 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. Now, my theory is that in order to make the droplets have this effect of penetration, Jodio is able to control the hydrogen atoms around the oxygen atom. Basically, he'll spin the hydrogen atoms around the oxygen atom, creating a spin effect that can cause great damage. What do you guys think? Am I insane, or am I actually onto something? Comment it down below. The next big thing is something that I didn't notice myself, but a buddy of mine did. Anyway, the DEA agent that confronted and tricked Jodio actually looks very similar to this character that we see in chapter 99 of JOJOLian. And on top of that, this character takes up a lot of space on that page. Is it possible that this woman might even be a rock human? Since, she was featured on a page that talked about the rock humans. Now, to be fair, not all the characters seen on this page are rock humans, but the page implies that some of them might be. Basically, this character could be very important in the future of JOJOLands, and I believe that we will definitely see her again. Later on, we find out that Jodio is apparently a psychopath. Now this opens up so many theories and interpretations. I would love to see his coldness be shown in the part. I mean, we've already seen it a little bit in the first 2 chapters, but psychopaths are known to not care about other people, even those who are close to him, I'm really interested to see how Jodio would react to someone from his crew dying, This reminds me that all protagonists from part 7 to part 9 had some sort of disorder, Johnny had a physical disorder, he was a paraplegic, Josuke had amnesia, and now Jodio has an antisocial personality disorder. Now when we look at Johnny and Josuke, their goal is essentially to get over it. I mean, obviously with Johnny it's to use his legs again, and with Josuke it's learning about his past, who he actually is, they both, Johnny and Josuke, they both have these disabilities that they have to combat and they have to conquer and basically beat in some way, And I'm wondering if the same thing could happen to Jodio, with his antisocial personality disorder, where he doesn't just accept it, but he wants to beat it. He wants to not be antisocial. He doesn't want to be a psychopath, But obviously, in that little scene, we can see that his mother is protesting against it, but he seems seemingly unfazed by this information, you know what I mean? He doesn't really care about it. So is it maybe actually the opposite, where he's oh yeah, I have that, I don't care. In opposite to Johnny and Josuke, who had tried to overcome it, What do you think? Psychopathic tendencies also strongly remind me of Dio Brando from part 1. He would seemingly always put himself first, no matter what. Since Jodio has Dio in his name, perhaps this could show that he also has this nature of Dio, where he puts himself before others. Speaking of Dio, let me introduce you to a huge theory of mine that I believe will be true. But listen. Now, we only know the family tree of Jodio from his maternal side, but I believe that his paternal side descends from none other than Diego Brando. Now you might think of the Diego Brando that could turn into a dinosaur and such, but no! It's not that Diego Brando. I believe it's an alternate universe version of Diego, who has to stand the world. Now you might be thinking that I'm insane because Diego could have never had time to have sex during his short stay in this universe. This is where I tell you that you are wrong. Once Diego and Johnny reached New York, there was a moment during the race where they had to load their horses onto ships, onto boats, and ride them to the other side of the shore. That would maybe take about 30 minutes or so. My theory is that Diego had sexual intercourse with a random woman on that ship. Yes, I genuinely believe that happened. Think about it. He was so full of himself and so sure that he would win because of his stand. He would surely want to blow off some steam. Perhaps there was a woman there and he wanted to have sex with her. We see later on that Diego didn't mind forcing women to have sex with him. So it's possible that he, even might have even forced himself onto a woman during that boat ride. We don't know. Then that woman would have gotten pregnant and passed down the bloodline until it eventually reached the father of Jodio, who then married and had kids with Barbara and Joestar. What's also possible, but it's not that cool really, is like Diego had sex before, like the dinosaur Diego, like the one from the Steel Run universe, that he had like intercourse before the race started and with like a random woman and like she got pregnant, I don't think that's as cool though. In this chapter we also find out the name of the 4th crew member, Usagi Aloa'oe. Usagi is a Japanese word for rabbit. If you remember, the part 9 promo depicts Jodio being drawn on a rabbit. Does this mean that maybe Jodio and Usagi end up being important to the plot? I mean, obviously Jodio is like the protagonist, he's gonna be important regardless, but like maybe Usagi might be more important than we previously thought, Do you think it's a coincidence or that Araki was planning ahead? We also got to see Usagi's stand, the Mate Kudasai. It looks like a little bird, and for it to activate, Usagi needs another person to say that they want an object. Then the stand will run towards and transform into the object, like a duplicate, Since we know that their mission is to steal a diamond, maybe Usagi could also use his stand to make a fake duplicate of the diamond and, place it in its place while they steal the real diamond, Technically his stand is useless if he's by himself, as he needs another person to activate it, but perhaps it could go through some form of evolution. In part 4, Rohan needed someone to look at his manga pages in order to be able to activate Heaven's Door. Later on, he could use Heaven's Door without people needing to look at a manga he made. And we also know the identity of the owner of the diamond now. Yeah, Rohan Kishibe is the owner of the diamond. Now this is a huge surprise to many people. So far it seems like Rohan hasn't changed from his original version. They are both famous mangaka. We don't know if Rohan still has a stand, but I'd be surprised if he doesn't have one. Now we go to another theory. I found it really weird that Rohan's mansion has this many bathrooms. This could have something to do with Rohan's stand. Did you ever think about the name Heaven's Door and how its ability doesn't have anything to do with doors? Is it possible that this new version of Heaven's Door actually uses the doors for something? Another theory is that instead of being able to write stuff into people, this version of Heaven's Door is able to write stuff into objects. So imagine how cool it would be for Rohan to write into the diamond that nobody can pick it up except Rohan Kishibe. That would be some Thor Mjolnir type of thing, where the character just can't pick up the diamond. That would be crazy. If we look at part 8, there were 2 stands that appeared in the original universe as well, Killer Queen and Purple Hermit. Both of these stands, however, had slight differences to their original counterparts. This makes it very likely, in my opinion, that if Rohan has Heaven's Door, it will have a slightly different ability than the original one from part 4. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Jodio narrated in chapter 1 that it wouldn't matter how many people would go after the diamond. It seems to me that this is him trying to say that they stood no chance in securing the diamond. This could allude to Rohan defeating them all. None of their stands, with the exception of November Rain, have been proven to work in fight scenarios. Smooth operators can definitely cause damage, but Dragona needs to be in touching distance in order to use it. So basically, I think that Rohan is gonna end up obliterating those kids. I think that about sums up my thoughts for chapter 2. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments and I'll respond to them. See you next time.